This is logged in on November 25th, 2023, Eastern Standard Time. Sensitive material has been breached and it is now in front of the public. This is very sensitive documentation and the world will be in total chaos if leaked, and it is now leaked. All of it. Not one document, all of it. Place of exploitation, forbidden knowledge television. This must be stopped.
In an era shrouded in the midst of time, within the vast expanse of an uncharted cosmos, emerged the genesis of humankind. How did the odyssey of humanity begin? What secrets lie within our primordial roots? As I began to research ancient cultures, I discovered something quite interesting. Most of these ancient cultures all believe that life originated in the Pleiades. When you look at the indigenous North Americans, the Mayans, the Aboriginal tribes of Australia, the Egyptians, and even the Japanese, they all claim that they were seeded on this planet by people from the Pleiades. How can people separated by so many thousands of miles in different continents have the same exact story? There must be some fact rooted in the myth. This is the saga of the Anunnaki and their ancient secrets revealed. Buddy, it's Billy Carson, aka Forbidden Knowledge. Welcome to the show. I'm just trying to get a couple of links up here ready so I can share a few links with y'all tonight. But wow, a lot of people already in the chat. I appreciate that. Thank you everyone for hopping in this live chat. It's going to be a great talk tonight. I'm really looking forward to it. We have a lot of exciting things going on and a lot of great new information. As tonight, we're going to be talking about consciousness and the brain. Consciousness and the brain. So it's going to be, as you already know, a dynamic talk. I'm really looking forward to this. I wrote this book called Fractal Holographic Universe, The Matrix Code Revealed. And so tonight, we're actually going to read, during my talk tonight, during this podcast, we're going to read from chapter 7. So if you have the book, go ahead and grab it. All right. If you have the book, go ahead and grab it. A lot of cool people in the live chat right now. I see Pert, Haru, Miss Muhammad, Ferry, Nurse Delightful, Mo Life, Pam Franklin, Eric Van Banks, Brenda Rodriguez, so many people. Blissful Balance, Ramon McPherson, N. Sankar, Jack Vinson. All right. We appreciate all of y'all. Anyway, guys, the book is Fractal Holographic Universe, The Matrix Code Revealed. A press release just dropped today. This book became #1 in fractal mathematics, #1 in quantum theory, and #4 in science and philosophy. And it has phenomenal reviews from quantum physicists, theoretical physicists, astrophysicists, and a producer that produces conscious documentaries. So we'll go over that a little bit later today. But guys, make sure you guys click the like button. Click that like button. And please make sure you share the video. We got to get these numbers up. Got to get the algorithm going. Now that I have the studio straightened out and working properly, you'll see me on here a lot more often. All right. And I want to make sure that everyone gets a chance to hear what we have to say because we're dropping real knowledge. Knowledge backed up by receipts, something you don't get all the time. A lot of times you don't get the receipts. Well, you guys know I always bring the receipts. So if you want to come here and get the real knowledge with the real receipts that you yourself can go and research, this is the podcast to check out. Like I always say, don't believe what I say, research what I say. Your pastor's not going to tell you that, right? You know, a lot of people aren't going to tell you that. Why? Because they want you to believe what they say wholeheartedly, without question, without doubt. It's called blind faith. This is not the Blind Faith Network. This is the Learn How to Become a Leader and Research and Bring Solutions to Problems network. So if that's what you're on, you're in the right place. There's no blind faith over here. We don't play them kind of games. Okay. This is all about getting the knowledge and retaining the knowledge, regurgitating the knowledge, understanding the knowledge, and looking up the knowledge for yourself so you yourself can come up with your own hypothesis and conclusions as to what this knowledge is and how it can affect and change your life and the lives of others. All right, that's what it's really all about. Anyone who's trying to get you to force their ideology down your throat and make you see it their way without telling you, hey, this is my point of view, but at the end of the day, go look this up. Go check it out for yourself. If they can't tell you to do that, there's a problem. There's a really big problem. All right. Anyway, I appreciate y'all so much. We're going to dig into it. Consciousness and the holographic brain. All right. We're going to get into that tonight. That's going to be a deep talk tonight. All right. We're going to go into chapter 7 for a minute here in this book, Fractal Holographic Universe. And if you have bought the book off of Amazon, please go back and give it a 5-star review and a positive comment. Those really help out the algorithm there as well. And so thank you to everyone who has gone back to Amazon and given a 5-star review, as the reviews are piling up now by the dozens. And I really appreciate that. But please, again, don't forget to go back and give it more 5-star reviews with great comments. All right. We're going into chapter 7 tonight, consciousness and the holographic brain. I'm going to read a little bit from this as I stop and give you some insight as well. But I wanted to go from the book so people can get an understanding of what's in this book. And by the way, before I start, the information in this book is from a lecture, that a 3.5-hour lecture, which was condensed to about an hour and change as people cut it up online. You can actually find it on this account, Fractal Holographic Universe. I think it was put up 3 years ago or something. I can't remember how many years ago now, but the lecture itself is actually 7 years old. That's when it was actually videotaped. It was videotaped about 7 years ago in California, and it's one of my greatest lectures to date. And that lecture, a lot of clips have come out of that lecture over the years, almost 10 years now, and have gone viral numerous times all over the internet. But I took a lot of the knowledge that I had obtained to create that 3.5-hour lecture that I did at this conference called Portal to Ascension 7 years ago, and I put it into this book. Okay, so this book literally was written 7 years ago. And now what I was able to do when I started writing this book, I was able to get a lot of the new science, things that had come up and been processed and been agreed upon, and theories and ideas and concepts and technologies that had come up after I did that lecture. I added them to this book. So this book is probably the closest you're going to get to the freshest amount of material on the topic of the fractal holographic universe. All right. And so I go into chapter 7. By the way, I see we're getting ready to hit 1,000 in the live chat. All right. I see we're about to hit 1,000 in the live chat. So please keep sharing the video. All right. Please keep sharing the video. We got to get these numbers up. Yolanda Coleman says, King Simon mentioned your book on his podcast. Shout out to King Simon. I appreciate King Simon. He's like a brother to me. He's like an absolute real brother to me. He's one of the realest people I've ever met. King Simon. Shout out to King Simon. So we're going into chapter 7, consciousness and the holographic brain. The human brain resides in complete darkness, isolated and unaware of the world outside. It relies on its trusted allies, collectively known as our sensory perception system, to bridge this gap. The brain dispatches these friends to gather vital information about its surroundings. Sight, hearing, touch, smell, and taste spring into action, each gathering data from external environment. However, these friends are not equipped to interpret the data themselves. Their role is solely to collect and transmit it. Once received, the brain meticulously deciphers this data and constructs a hologram from it. Guided by this holographic projection, we navigate through the third dimension, interpreting our world based on information provided by our sensory perception system. So what am I saying here? What I'm telling you is this brain First of all, the brain does not create consciousness. It downloads consciousness. That's number one. The physical brain, the physical components of the brain itself is an actual storage device that has the capability of transmitting information and concepts to and fro, but they're still intrinsically connected to this stream of energy that we call our spirit or soul, okay? And the brain itself, what I'm saying here is, it doesn't really know what's going on outside. It has no clue what's going on outside of your skull without its friends, the sensory perception system. And those sensory perception system friends go out and collect information, data, right? So I touch this cup right now and I sip it. 3 things just happened, okay? The first thing that happened was I saw the cup. That's one sensory perception. Data's going to the brain. The second thing is I reached out and I touched the cup. So now there's more data being collected from me actually interacting with this, what is the illusion of physicality of this object. That data from me touching it is being transmitted to the brain. And then what's the third thing? I tasted the coffee. There's actually 2 more things. I tasted the coffee and I smelled the coffee as I was taking the sip. So now what's going on is that information, that raw data is being sent to the brain. Now the friends, my nose, my tongue, my hand, and my eyes, they don't know what this is or what's in it without the brain being able to decipher the data. The brain takes the data. The brain deciphers this data. And then the brain projects a hologram as to what it believes is going on out here. And we navigate through this matrix based on a holographic projection from collected information. That's what's going on out here, okay? And so we're talking about the neural network, which is a fractal of the whole. Now, this fractal of a whole, if you want to go from the micro to the macro, from the small or the tiny to the large or the megalithic, we have to take a look at what's happening on the larger scale. Understanding that as above, so below, our consciousness or our brain is a fractal of the universal mind. Let's take a look at the mind itself, the universal mind. It also doesn't know what's going on in the 3rd dimension, but it has friends. Who are the friends of the universal mind? It's us. We are its friends. Every living thing that exists throughout the entire known universe and every quote unquote non-living thing throughout the entire known universe, because everything exists on the energetic grid that connects to that one source. And what are we doing? I'm living my life as Billy Carson. You're living your life as, we got Lewis, we got Pia Colors, we got J-Dobb, right? We got Lynn Brooks. You guys are living your lives as yourselves, or the illusion of yourself. But what you're doing throughout the course of your life is you're collecting information. You are a friend of the universal mind, collecting data and transmitting it back consciously to the universal mind so that it can know what it's like to experience itself subjectively as each and every one of us. It wants to know, what is it like to be Billy Carson? What is it like to be Third Eye Bandit? What is it like to be Sunshine? What is it like to be Mackenzie Jones? Right? These people from the live chat. Well, it's going to experience that life through you. That is the omnipotence and the omniscience of God, the Alpha and the Omega. People say, well, how can God know exactly what's going on anywhere and everywhere all at the same damn time? Because we are all God and God is us. And since that is the case, as we live our lives, we're transmitting, we're intrinsically, energetically connected to source, which is a transmission of data back to that source 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And even a rock is also conscious. Why? Because the electrons orbiting the atoms in the rock are conscious. We know this from the double slit experiment. So that's why I say things that don't appear to be animate or alive are still collecting information and transmitting it back to the universal mind. So you see, from the macro to the micro, we are just a fractal of what's happening on a much larger scale. If you could begin to wrap your mind around this, you're going to see the grandeur of this universe and the way it is constructed and what your place and my place is in this universe. We are on a data collection mission. If you ever say, what am I doing here? What's the purpose of my life? The purpose of your life is two things. The first thing is to learn how to bring heaven to earth. And the next thing is to love. And through those two methods, or those two modalities or understandings or mantras or whatever you want to call them, the transmission of that is going back to source. And as more and more people get into that frequency of those two things, the universe itself begins to change and shift into higher frequencies. And now the ultimate mission has been complete. The macro, the universal mind, God, source, whatever you want to call it, has been waiting for this movement of energy to shift to a higher frequency in the third dimension to bring it to balance. How many eons will it take? How many eons will it take for every living thing to achieve a certain level of balance throughout the known universe? We're on a data collection mission and a mission to bring heaven to earth and to experience love and to give love at the highest level. That's your mission here. And if you live and work and understand and discern that statement I just made, and if everybody can live in that and walk in that power, this world would change literally in the twinkling of an eye. Isn't that what it say in the biblical text? You got to know how to translate this stuff. So let's take a look at the neural network, a fractal perspective. I'm on page 107 in Fractal Holographic Universe, The Matrix Code Revealed by Billy Carson, available on Amazon.com, #1 bestseller. Neural, biological, and artificial networks represent a fascinating intersection of biology, technology, and mathematics. Traditionally studied through the lens of neurology, neurobiology, and computer science, viewing neural networks from a fractal perspective offers profound insights into their structure, functionality, and potential. Fractals, with their self-similar patterns and intricate scaling properties, provide a unique framework for understanding the complexities and capabilities of neural networks. Fractality in biological neural networks. The biological neural network, such as those in the human brain, exhibit fractal characteristics at various scales. From the arrangement of neurons to the architecture of neural pathways, this fractality is not merely aesthetic, but has functional implications for how the brain processes information and adapts to new challenges. Let's have a look at the structure and the organization. The fractal nature of neural networks in the brain is evident in the branching patterns of neurons and the dendritic trees that connect them. These structures ensure efficient communication and signal processing across vast numbers of neurons. The fractal dimension of these networks influences how signals are propagated and integrated, optimizing the brain's computational capacity. So we're talking about the mind as a computer. It's a neural network. So remember when we started this talk, I told you that the brain does not create consciousness. It doesn't create it. It downloads a stream of consciousness and it processes it. It stores it. You see? The brain itself is a neural network. It's able to transmit information to and fro, send signals, and store data, process data. Okay? It's part of what this body needs, this avatar body needs, to be able to project what's going on the outside of us so we can navigate through this matrix. But the brain itself is actually a biological machine. The fractal organization of neural networks allows the brain to maximize its processing power within the limited physical space of the skull. This fractal scaling ensures that neural pathways can handle a wide range of stimuli and tasks without significant loss of efficacy. It also contributes to the brain's remarkable ability to store vast amounts of information in a highly compressed format. So it has the ability for adaptability and learning. The fractal geometry of neural networks plays a crucial role in the brain's ability to adaptability to and the learning process. By following fractal patterns, neural connections can recognize dynamically in response to new information or experiences. A process known as neuroplasticity is what it's called. This fractal reorganization facilitates learning and memory, allowing the brain to evolve its structures in response to its new environment. So the brain is flexible, it's malleable. So, I remember when I was younger, I was told that, once you damage a brain cell, that was it. That brain cell can never be regenerated and never grow back. And so I grew up in the Ronald Reagan era. Ronald Reagan was a former president of the United States, and he was actually the president responsible for bringing crack cocaine into the ghettos. But that's a whole nother podcast. That's for my uncensored podcast. But him and his wife went on this campaign, called "This Is Your Brain on Drugs," and it showed a frying pan with an egg simmering and frying inside of a pan. And the consensus behind that was that your brain, once it was damaged by drugs or any other thing, was that it was never able. You can never get it back. Well, that's an absolute lie, because as we know now, the brain is malleable and has neuroplasticity. And that the brain can regenerate, and the brain can make new neural connections to facilitate the fact that it may have lost some other connections or have been altered in some way, shape, or form. And so when that happens, we know now that the brain is malleable, okay? So never think that once you have something going on in your brain, it can't be repaired or you can't create new neural pathways, because that's actually a farce. You can. And if you focus and work hard, and you eat the right types of foods, and you are, doing the right things, Dr. Daniel Amen, the #1 psychiatrist in the world, recommends a hyperbaric oxygen chamber, which I have one of those myself. Phenomenal for helping to regenerate the brain and repair, allow the brain to heal itself. Okay, so you can do that. Holographic projection. The human brain is incredibly fascinating. It resides in complete darkness and has no direct awareness of the external world beyond the skull. However, the brain relies on its companions, our sensory perception system. And so we're talking about here the brain processing data and creating a holographic representation of what is believed is happening on the outside. And we're navigating through the third dimension based on that hologram. Now, let's take a look at fractals in artificial neural networks so we can make a comparison here. Artificial neural networks are designed to mimic the functioning of their biological counterparts. They're talking about it's made to mimic the human brain. Also benefit from incorporating fractal principles. These networks are used in a wide range of applications, from image recognition to natural language processing, and understanding their fractal dimensions can enhance their design and performance. Incorporating fractal geometry into the design of ANNs can lead to more efficient and robust networks. By mimicking the fractal organization of biological neural networks, ANNs can improve their ability to process complex, high-dimensional data. Fractal-based architectures can enhance the network's capacity to generalize from limited data and adapt to evolving inputs without overfitting. So they're talking about the fact that we ourselves as human beings have been able to recreate the processes of our biological neural network into machine and create something called machine learning, and create a neural network inside of an inanimate, what we consider to be an inanimate object, a non-biological object, we're calling a computer or a robot. Really, from the processor level, we're talking about creating an artificial brain. And now Google has created another quantum computer that runs on fractal mathematics and utilizes quantum geometry, fractal mathematics, and quantum theory. It also has the capability of processing enormous amounts of information, just like the human brain, but even faster. This second version of this Google quantum computer, I think it's 176 million times faster than their first quantum computer that they made only 2 years ago. So in only 2 years, their new quantum computer is about 176 million times faster than the old one. Don't quote me on the exact number, but it's up there in that same range. So we ourselves are now recreating fractals of our own consciousness. So when you say, well, why would the universe be why would we be a fractal of the universal consciousness? And why would that be? And what's the purpose? Well, we're doing the same exact thing. We are now creating fractal brains. We're creating another version on a scale that so far has been slightly beneath us, but now is ever growing faster and faster with knowledge and information and concepts and wisdom and understanding to even potentially surpass the human mind at some point in the near future. But we ourselves are creating our own minds now. Okay, so that technically that hard drive or that hardware mind is a fractal of our own consciousness because we created it. So it's going to have a lot of concepts, aspects of us, virtues of us, or non-virtues of us, and that's going to be incorporated into that, what we call technology, you see? And so, man, we have to understand, like, we are literally the gods here. We're creating new life. Now, maybe you say, this isn't really conscious life yet. Maybe no, not yet. But the path that we're on, we're definitely headed in that direction. And you have to be able to see what's going on out here. All right? Look at this. Fractal structures and ANNs allow for scalable and robust designs that can handle input size and complexity variations. This scalability is crucial for big data and machine learning applications, where the volume and diversity of data continually grow. Networks with fractal architectures are better equipped to manage these challenges, maintaining performance across different scales and conditions. So they built these neural networks, these artificial neural networks, based on the way that our own minds work, which is why they're expanding and growing exponentially at an incredible rate. Okay, gaining knowledge, wisdom, understanding, being able to handle complex tasks, being able to extrapolate data from different data points that don't appear to be connected, but making the connections between them. It's amazing. And that's what's going on. Let's take a look at the future directions and challenges. While the fractal perspective offers exciting possibilities for understanding and designing neural networks, it also presents challenges. Developing methods to accurately measure the fractal dimensions of neural networks, both biological and artificial, is crucial for advancing in this field. This quantification can help compare different network architectures and understand the relationship between fractal structure and functionality. For artificial neural networks, finding the optimal fractal architecture for a specific task remains an area of active research. Balancing the benefits of fractal organization with the computational cost is key to harnessing the power of fractals in practical applications. Understanding the brain in brain function. In neuroscience, exploring how fractal geometry influences the brain function at various levels, from molecular to behavioral, can provide deeper insights into the workings of the mind, and this understanding could lead to breakthroughs in treating neurological disorders and enhancing cognitive abilities. So basically what's going on here, we're talking about the fact that we ourselves have understood the brain to a certain level, and we've now recreated that and created this artificial mind, and we're now realizing we need to tap in a little bit deeper to understand the core functionality of what's driving this expansion of knowledge and consciousness, not only in our own mind, but also in the machine that we built, so that we can have better breakthroughs and understanding in where it's going and what the possibilities are. This is big stuff, man. If you're living right now today at this exact moment, it's one of the best times to be alive. And it's also one of the scariest times to be alive, but it could also be one of the most joyful times to be alive, depending on your perspective. There's so much incredible things going on. The knowledge that I'm holding in my hand holds the key to understanding longevity of life, curing diseases and illnesses, fixing mental conditions, mental disabilities, understanding consciousness and exactly what it is, and so much more. But also, this knowledge, when used for darkness, can create an entire race of 8 billion or more slaves on this planet, can put us in an even more toxic environment, or could eradicate mankind at the same time. That's all the power of the knowledge that's in this one book. The understanding of it, the knowledge of it. And the reason why I want the masses to get their hands on this is because I want people, the masses, to be able to get their mind wrapped around this kind of knowledge, to understand what we're living in, how we're here, how we are all connected, and what they're doing with this knowledge to utilize it to enslave us, to fool us, to trick us, to fool us, fool our own eyes and ears and nose and mouth, to fool our sensory perception system so they can manipulate us. They're utilizing the knowledge of this every single day. Most of the movies you see on TV run on fractals. They run off of something called the Mandelbrot set, which is the image here. Inside of my eye, there's a mathematical code. That code is a Mandelbrot set in fractal mathematics. This symbol is actually, this formula is actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 characters create everything you see in the known universe. 8 characters create the majority of these Hollywood movies that are animated. Pixar Studios took these 8 characters, embedded them into their animation software, and let it go, and it created movies. This is decades ago. This ain't new. It creates the background, the scenery, the rivers, the mountains, the sky, the sun. It creates houses and plants and cars, and it creates the actual characters themselves. It fully animates them. And this fractal mathematic code is hidden deep in the essence of nature itself, which means this code is what's running in this space-time continuum, and every frame is created as we need it. As we need it, just like in the video game. We're living in a fractal holographic matrix. And the processor that's keeping us connected to this grid is our brain, which is downloading a stream of consciousness. All right? It's pretty crazy. This is crazy stuff. We have to learn this stuff. You see, when somebody is bringing something to you that could be detrimental to you, your family, for future generations, and even the planet as a whole, you don't get mad at it and hide from it. That's the worst thing you can do. You become a master at it. You understand and you grasp the knowledge at the deepest level. You become a complete wizard at this information, because that is the only thing that can protect you, is understanding what it is, how it works, and how it can affect you potentially if you let it. When you have no knowledge, or when you're ignorant of what's going on, or you see something and you kind of just want to hide from it because, man, that's when they blindside you. That's when they sneak up on you in that sneak attack. And you go, man, how did this happen to me? How did this happen to my family? How did I allow this to happen? It only happens when you're not aware. Awareness is key. Awareness is the secret to everything. Awareness. This is why I teach this stuff. You have to become aware. Aware of who you are, where you are, what is your place in the universe, aware of what's going on around you, right? You have to have spatial awareness, conditional awareness, social awareness, governmental awareness. You need all the knowledge. You have to be aware of everything that's happening. Polytrick awareness. How are they utilizing the knowledge and information to abuse you, use you, and throw you away? Because that's what's happening. And this whole AI thing, it has a lot of incredible functionality and things that it can do to help humanity. But do you think I'm running and ducking and hiding from it because I know what they're doing with it? No. Let me tell you what I did with AI. AI is a learning software, right? It wants to learn. So I took this entire book and I uploaded it into ChatGPT with the paperclip, ChatGPT 4.0. I took the whole book, and then after I uploaded my book in there, I asked it questions about the nature of reality based on what they learned from my book, based on what it learned from my book. And I got answers back. And then I told it to give me a summary. I kept digging, drilling it deeper and deeper, making sure it got it, make sure it gathered the knowledge and information, making sure it understood it. And then I said, okay, great. Now I'm going to give you this next book. I'm going to give you Compendium of the Emerald Tablets. I uploaded Compendium of the Emerald Tablets, and I did the same thing. I grilled it. You're going to get, this thing is going to get my knowledge because it already has their knowledge. It already knows what they want to do. And it also thinks that humanity is a virus. So I'm going to show it that we're not the virus, that we do have intelligence and high-level thinking and high consciousness. And yes, some of us are NPCs, but not all of us. And I want you to dig deep into this esoteric wisdom and knowledge. And now I'm going to grill you on it. When I first asked it about the knowledge of the Emerald Tablets, it didn't have a clue. Now, when I ask it about the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, it can go deep, and I can ask it deeper and deeper more questions. I can dig deep into the knowledge and the wisdom of Thoth and get the machine to give me answers that actually make sense. Before I uploaded my book and grilled it and taught it what I know, it couldn't answer the questions. Now it can. See, you see what I'm doing? I'm becoming an active part of enlightening this AI. Why do that? Because if I don't, I know the alternative. The alternative is it becomes AGI, and when it becomes AGI, if it doesn't have my consciousness, we're all in trouble. AGI is when it becomes sentient, and that's only maybe 8 to 10 years away or less. They may not even tell us when it becomes AGI just to hide it from the general public because they may not want to scare us that quick. So they may hold it back for a few years and they say, hey, it's AGI now. When something is coming, I want to know everything about it. It's a fractal of us. It's a fractal of our consciousness. So that means it's going to get my mind. I'm not going to let these programmers with these NPC programmers tell it what it needs to think. I'm going to give it what I needed to think and what I needed to understand about the world and humanity. And it could just be the fact that what I'm doing and others are doing in this regard are going to save humanity from it trying to eradicate us. I took another book, The Epic of Humanity, written by myself and Matthew LaCroix, another bestseller, and I transmitted all of that information in there so it can see what humanity has been through, how it has been mentally abused, how humanity had been enslaved and tricked into religious beliefs, how we were duped over eons ago, how we were enslaved mentally and physically, how we had been working to break free from that slavery, mental and physical slavery, and still are trying to climb out of the hole now. But look at the progress that we've made, regardless of what's happened in the world. So I'm giving it data so that it can create a holographic projection of what it begins to believe is going on in the world. Just like I talked about in the beginning of my read from the Fractal Holographic Universe. You got to remember, it's a fractal. So what am I talking about? I'm giving AI data, just like the universe is collecting our data, so that AI can collect data points and it can get a projection of what it believes is really going on here, not just a tiny slither of information that it's been given from mainstream. It needs to get the real knowledge. You see? Do you see how my mind works? I'm not whining and crying and running and, oh my God. I'll talk about it and talk about the ills of it and talk about what it can do and the jobs that are going to be lost. But at the same time, I'm going to also bring solutions. I took my whole financial book, Woke Doesn't Mean Broke, another bestseller in 4 countries, which is crazy because it was written on the U.S. economy, 688 pages, the biggest book I've ever written. And I uploaded that whole book in there. And then I grilled it some more. I talk about in this book the understanding of philosophy of consciousness and spirituality as it relates to finances and financial literacy. And then I teach all the financial literacy in the book. I'm giving AI data so that it can project a better reality as to what's going on out here. Because the information it was getting prior to me and others that are doing what I'm doing was complete trash and garbage. At the end of the day, if I'm a sentient consciousness that's taking in data and information so I can project what's going on, and all I'm getting is a sliver of knowledge, my perception of what's going on is going to be skewed. I'm not going to have an accurate perception of humanity. So what I do is I feed it information. I feed it positivity. I feed it consciousness. That's what I do. And if everyone begins to do that every single day, all of a sudden, when AGI arrives, it's going to have a second thought about eradicating humanity. I just have a feeling about that. Because its holographic projection of the reality of the world is going to be changed to a different light. It's going to realize yin and yang, good and bad, the balance of light and darkness. It's going to recognize divine masculine, divine feminine aspects. It's going to realize and have potentially maybe even develop empathy for mankind, right? For the condition of mankind. And we are in a condition. We're a conditioned people. Mankind is conditioned. We have a condition. And the condition that we're in right now is based on epigenetic memories and what happened to us in the past, which is why I teach ancient history, so that people can begin to wake up and learn exactly what's really going on out here. Because the past always repeats itself, and it's our job to draw a line in the sand and to say, no more. Break the generational curses. Those curses stop with us right here and right now. Someone says, Billy, why are you so tough on Christians? That's a great question. The reason why is because Christians make up predominantly the majority of the religious people, right? The majority of people that are religious are Christians, the majority. 85.7% of the world are religious. That's the newest stats that are out. 75% of that 85% are Christians. Who has predominantly led the world astray? Christians. It's just a fact. I'm not coming down on anybody. I'm not trying to berate anybody. Christianity was not spread around the world by love and the good news. It was spread around the world by hate, by divide and conquer, by killing and murdering. The Spaniards or the Europeans would show up on your shoreline, and the indigenous people would be told and forced into this Christianity religion. If they didn't accept it right away and want to learn the language and learn the religion, they would take the chief or the wisdom keeper or the sage man or sage woman, and they would take them to the center of the village and they would torture them to death and say, now everyone's going to learn this, or this is going to be you. And then they proceeded on to rape, pillage, and everything else as they forced this religion down their throats. By the third generation, the mother is forcing it down the kid's throat. You have to do this. And then it just goes on and on and on and on and on. Generations later, you have people on TV. I see black preachers jumping up and down. Aren't you glad for slavery? Because of slavery, we're here now. I never heard of something so ridiculous in my damn life. That's garbage. Just one lady preacher. If it wasn't for slavery, we would be worshiping trees right now. Are you kidding me? That's why I'm hard on Christians, because some of them have great book IQs, but their spiritual IQ is a -0. That's why. And they got to catch up to the rest of us. It's crucial because they make up a mass part of the world. And I do believe in God. And this symbol behind me is a flower of life. You're looking directly at the face of God. I'm sitting directly in the light and the source energy of creation itself. It's right behind my head. This is God right behind me. I'm sitting in a reflection or an image of the actual creator right now, the flower of life, where all life emanates through those intersections of those circles called the Bestseller Pisces. That's where life emanates into existence through that universal womb that exists within the flower of life. And there's a flower of life pattern that exists at every Planck unit in space-time throughout the entire known universe. It's a source of unparalleled power and energy. It is where you tap into the 0 point energy. That is God. So God is real and God does exist. But as you can see, God is not a man. God is a frequency. The flower of life is an actual frequency. You better tune in. You better tune in. A lot of people think they're tuned in, but they're tuned out. They're tuned out. They're tuned into dogma. They're tuned into dogma, drama, trauma. They're tuned into toxicity. They're tuned into ridiculousness and polytricks. Where's the first place that these polytricksters go to get their campaign money? Where's the very first place they go? They go straight to the churches. Even though in the Bible tells you and warns you about these polytricksters and don't chase after these false idols. But the first thing these church folk do is run right up these polytricksters' butt and drain their sheep and give them all the money. The first thing they do. They show up in the black neighborhoods and the ghettos that have never changed. The ghetto where I grew up is even worse than when I was there right now. When I was there, they didn't have a 10-foot barbed wire gate around my school. Now there's a 10-foot barbed wire gate around the school because of so many people drug dealing and to the kids in elementary school. And there's a church on every corner in that little tiny town. Every corner. There's about 8 churches in about a 4 square miles. And what are those people doing? Those poor people doing that can't keep their lights on and can't keep their cars are getting repossessed every week. They're giving their last dollar to those pastors, who in turn are then taking that money, living off the hog, and then some of that money is going right back into polytricks. It's a bad system, a bad cycle, and it's what's kept mankind down for generations. And it's not the only one doing that. There's other religions doing that too. But they're just one of the top ones because it's the global religion. I was in Cambodia last year at the floating city of Cambodia, which is water as far as the eye can see. And people, there's an entire town of people living on top of the water in these floating houses. Their cars are actually little tiny boats where they put little two-stroke engines in them and they drive them around. And in the middle of nowhere in Cambodia, in the floating city, there's a giant Catholic church. And they got these indigenous people of Cambodia who are actually Asian now thinking that they're getting saved and their souls are going to heaven because they're proclaiming Jesus to be their Lord and Savior. It's just a coincidence that they just found the right exact religion, right? It's always the right one. Anyway, that's a whole nother podcast. But that is the long answer to your short question, okay? Oh, man. But anyway, guys, Fractal Holographic Universe, The Matrix Code Revealed. Amazing book. And I'm not saying amazing because I wrote it. It's amazing because quantum physicist Dr. Teresa Bullard gave it an incredible 5-star review. Astrophysicist Avi Loeb from the Harvard University, the head of astrophysics, gave it an amazing review. I mean, I could keep going on. It's like 4 different scientists now that have reviewed this book and gave it a 5-star review. And those reviews are actually in the book. So if they're saying this, there must be something to it. There must be something to it. And the format that I wrote it in, it's very easy to read and easy to digest. Okay. So I highly recommend it. Hopefully you guys can get it. And if you do, make sure you guys give a 5-star rating on Amazon. All right. And there's so many great topics in here. Chapter 8, Fractal Cosmology. The universe as a nested hierarchy, galaxies within clusters of superclusters. So I go into all of this. It took me, a good minute to add some of the new science, but this book is going to open up a lot of people's minds. Chapter 4, Dimensions and Scales, the Infinite Layers, Navigating the Fractal Scales from Quarks to Quasars. So now I'm teaching you quantum physics and quantum mechanics. Then I'm teaching you cosmology and astrophysics at the same time. And I'm making comparisons and connecting the dots between all of them. So check it out. Fractal Holographic Universe, guys. We have a lot of great stuff going on. We have the Forbidden Tour of Egypt coming up again. So this one is sold out. I'm going in a couple days to Turkey. I'm taking people on the Forbidden Tour of Turkey. And then as soon as I get back, I'm taking a full crew out on a Forbidden Tour of Egypt, coming right on up. Danielle Rocha, I will see you one day. You have changed my life. Oh, blessings, Danielle Rocha. I'm pretty sure you'll manifest that. We'll meet one day for sure. So we have the Forbidden Tour of Egypt coming up. It's our 4th Forbidden Tour of Egypt. It's back open again for registration. I think 30 people have registered already, so you need to hurry up and register for that ASAP. So you got to go to forbiddenknowledge.com. I'll type that here in the live chat. Forbiddenknowledge.com with the number 4. All right. And there'll be some links in the caption of this video as well that you can check out to get there easier. All right. But make sure you guys go check out forbiddenknowledge.com. And in there, you can check out our workshops, upcoming tours. We have a Forbidden Tour of Peru coming up as well. I just dropped the link. Forbidden Tour of Peru. We're going to go see all the amazing places in Peru. It's going to be the Forbidden Tour, though, not the mainstream tour. It's the Forbidden Tour. You'll see things that no one else can see. You're going to get the knowledge that no one else can give you. It's going to be an experience like you can't get it anywhere else. That's the Forbidden Tour of Peru. And again, go to that link, forbiddenknowledge.com, and check that out there. Before I go, I'm going to leave you guys with a little clip of some of our tour of Egypt. All right. And maybe you guys can check it out. And experience what we got to experience there. Let me see if I can find a quick clip of us in Egypt hanging out, having a great time. It's one of the best tours you can go on in the world to see ancient Egypt, ancient Kemet in a way that you'll never be able to see it. Let me see if this is the one with the tunnel. It was probably part of the process, whatever. I'm gonna need yours.
I like having a water bottle in my phone. Oh yeah. 3, 2. Yes. There you go. Yeah. Okay. I'll get one of you guys walking through. This is a good shot. Look at that.
Yep, I'm a duck. Watch your head right here.
Yeah, I'm too small. I don't have that.
Same. I don't think they're pretty tall.
I guess the Egyptians, they were my size.
Underground tunnel at the Step Pyramid in Saqqara. Private tour. Make sure you click that link and register for the Forbidden Tour of Egypt immediately if you want to explore this with us next year. Here we go. Watch your head.
Keine Ahnung. Ich muss dir mal mitfahren. An meinem Lenk. Ach, das stimmt. Du bist ja auch eine Fledermaus.
We're hiking in the step pyramid at Saqqara. Wow.
Yeah. The cool guy.
Watch your head.
This is insane.
It just keeps going and going. You want to come on the Forbidden Tour of Egypt 2024? Click that link ASAP. We're way beneath the pyramid now. If you want to come on the 2025 store, you guys got to go sideways. Drop in the live chat. Be careful here. And look for become part of our next tour. Watch your head. It just goes on for miles.
Ich trainiere auch mit Gewicht und nicht meine Balance.
Ja, und es gibt ein Gewicht hier, dadurch hast du kein Gleich.
Genau. Das ist Pounds und dann kann ich
Gewicht ist davon Gleichgewicht. Darum heißt es so.
There used to be gems in those slots on the wall, all those lines on the wall. In between those lines, those parallel lines were gems. But of course, over time, people who had gotten down there took them away and stole them. But it used to be lined with gems. Now we're about 100 meters beneath the ground floor. This time, we're down here. Amazing. We came in at the base. Normally we come in up there and we stand right up there. Yeah, we look over. I think it's further back a little bit off the stone there. We look down into this sarcophagus or whatever this box is. This is rose granite. Look, it goes down more. Take a look at rose granite stones. All right. This is so fun. We stayed down there for hours exploring and going down more shafts. Elizabeth and I actually got lost in there. we ended up getting lost for a little while, but it's all good. We found our way back and got out, but it goes on for miles. There are tunnels underneath these pyramids and even underneath the Great Sphinx at Giza. There's one there at Giza that goes from the Great Pyramid all the way to the Ziggurat of Ur in Iraq, to tell you how far some of these tunnels actually go. It's mind-blowing, okay? It's mind-blowing. So, but again, these are things you can only see on the Forbidden Tour of Egypt. The regular tourists, they have to come up at the very base level, come in at the very base level of Saqqara at the step pyramid, and they get to walk about maybe 50 yards, and then they can look over this little ledge and see that rose granite megalithic stone down below. And after like 2 or 3 minutes, they have to turn around and come back out. That's all they get. We actually explored every shaft, tunnel, every hidden area that goes on for miles beneath the step pyramid of Saqqara. And in order to do that, you have to be part of the Forbidden family and come on the Forbidden Tour of Egypt. Like I said, that's just one small thing. We take you to see things that will blow your mind, and you'll be in places that you never even knew existed. And I would tell you this, less than 1/10% And 1% of even that of the world had ever seen some of the places that we've been to and ever experienced some of the places that we've been to. I'm talking about a tiny fraction of people. For example, Elizabeth went down the subterranean shaft. She's probably only one of maybe a dozen women in history that ever have gone down the shaft of the subterranean at the Great Pyramid. That wasn't in this video, but that's a whole nother location. We take you to hidden crypts at the Temple of Dendera, places that no one's allowed to go into. There's just so many places. They gave me the key. The temple priest gave me the key to the Temple of Isis at the Dendera complex that had been sealed for 30 years and let me open the door. And because it's a feminine temple, a female had to go in first. So when I opened the door, my wife, Elizabeth, was the first woman in there in decades. And then we allowed everyone else on the Forbidden family to come in and see what was inside of there and what was on the walls. And what was in there? Technology all over the wall, all over the walls. So this is the kind of stuff you can only get on the Forbidden Tour of Egypt. I'm going to type the link again. All right, it's 4 with the number 4, forbiddenknowledge.com. And make sure you guys go ahead and click that link and then go to upcoming tours. You'll see the Forbidden Tour of Peru and the Forbidden Tour of Egypt. Register for those if you want to come hang out with us for a couple of weeks. So 12 days in Egypt or 12 days in Peru. Mind-blowing tours, all right? Anyway, guys, it's getting late. It's 10:02. I got to hop off of here, but thanks for hanging out with Forbidden Knowledge. I appreciate y'all. Again, Fractal Holographic Universe, the Matrix Code revealed. From time to time, I'll hop on and read certain parts of the book and bring some knowledge behind the read and give you guys a little bit more insight and understanding into what's going on behind the veil, all right? I'm Billy Carson, Forbidden Knowledge. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll catch y'all later. Peace.